Welcome to the Practice Podcast, conversations probing the nature of practice. I'm your host, Dave Fearon, co-author with Peter Vale of the digital book on Practice as a Way of Being. Find it at mylibrary.world. And now to our show. Well, folks, this story begins at Colby College in Waterville, Maine on a Sunday morning. I got up particularly early. I was so eager to go on the tour of the islands that the Wyeth family had basically given to Colby, even though they said they sold it. And it was terrific, and I was excited. So I was there around 5:30 in the morning, and we were supposed to gather around 6 or a little after. So there was this food truck, and it was called the Mountain Moose. And I thought, that's a lot of Maine there in that truck. But I was curious what it was, and also a cup of coffee, and looks like donuts would just about be the right thing to start the day. And then when the lid opened and was attached, there was the one of the two people who have created the Mountain Moose, and I use the word creative because it's what it takes in the business of coffee, and it was Olivia. Now, they tried to get me to remember how to pronounce their last name, and I still can't. So, Olivia.
That's okay. We can introduce ourselves. So I am Olivia Winokurzew, and then this is my sister Elsie and business partner.
Yeah.
And yes, we are the owners and faces of Morning Moose Coffee.
Yeah, and I like that notion of being the faces because it's, a food truck is just a food truck, and we had a bunch of them one of the nights of our Colby reunion where where the story really began, and you go up to some of the windows and it's like a transaction. Here's your, whatever.
Right.
And maybe because it was early morning and I felt lonely, I wanted to talk to someone. But I think the way Elsie and Olivia are as people, which means practitioners as well, the joyfulness, the excitement of being there first thing in the morning just came through, and it intrigued me. And that's why I wanted to have them come on the podcast, so you'll hear the story. Let me start out with, since we're talking about your story, Olivia, I think I remember you said that before you and your sister started this business, you worked for another coffee company that everyone knows that has the little angel or something on the cup.
Yes.
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
So why didn't you just stay there? I mean, it's secure. There's benefits. They build more shops out than you can ever want. In the meantime, you folks are building out your own shop in another part of Maine. But why did you not stay at Starbucks? And Elsie, were you there in Starbucks as well?
I was, yes.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So security, big name. Some people like Starbucks coffee.
Yeah. No, Starbucks taught us, the base of what we need to know. I've learned so much from my years there. And we started at the very bottom, and we both worked at Starbucks for 5 years, and we worked ourselves up to the top. And, towards the end of our career there, we just felt like something was lacking. Like we really wanted to connect with people, and we really wanted entrepreneurship. And that was just something we've always been passionate about. We just didn't know what that would look like. And we just came up with the dream and the idea, and we said, we're good at coffee. Our community needs this. They crave connection and people. And, we've learned so much from our years there. And we just felt like we really could make an impact in our community. And so we came up with the idea one fall night, and we came up with the idea. We bought a trailer, and really the idea sparked that night, and then the business was created. But yes, Starbucks was stability, and we just wanted more. We wanted to connect and bring it to our community, and really that's where it started. So
Yeah, I hear community several times, and my experience with you that morning was a relationship. It was, I'm happy to see you. And I'm sure about every Colby alum there that time wanted to tell you their story while you're handing them a cup of coffee. We like, I think, being a liberal arts school and liberal arts product. Well, we really are fascinated with all things people and how things work in the world, and relationships matter a lot, and therefore you wanted to do something that people craved, which is not just coffee and nice little mini donuts, which we can talk about, but community.
absolutely. And that was something that we were focused on from day one. And looking back at that weekend, that was still the highlight of my weekend, is just connecting with people and hearing their stories and just getting to know them. Like, we can make great coffee and donuts, and we're proud of our products, but it's really more than that. It's really, we just take it the step further, and we just want to connect with people and just make meaningful relationships and be a part of their morning,
I think at the end of the day, people don't remember what they got. They remember how they feel. And I've always taken that statement and we've put that into practice in our coffee shops, and just, going the extra mile to connect with people and make that our focus. Not just because it's good business, but literally genuinely because, we want to connect with people, and we want it to be more than coffee.
Oh, that's a great line, and it has to be. I'm looking over the years as a retired business professor at how many businesses, particularly small businesses, kind of live for a while, and their customers let them die. In other words, the lack of customers. There are other causes, but people will sample. Let me try this restaurant. Let's see how it is, and that's where the rubber meets the road. The return, coming back the next time, and why? Again, because how they feel. Now, how did you guys? You must have picked up on that all those years you were working at Starbucks, because you saw people marching through day after day. Or is that sort of where you did your research on pleasing people?
I think that was part of it for me. I really loved just, again, like the connection with people in the morning, but just being a part of their day, but also their life, like how's school going, or, oh my goodness, you're having your second baby, or just like all these milestones. And I'm like, wow, they chose us to be a part of their morning. So I loved that connection and just getting to know people on a deeper level beyond coffee. So I really do think that's where it stemmed, but also the business idea was actually born after COVID. And so I think a lot of it was people were isolated during that time. Yeah. And we really just wanted to be that light for people, and especially in our community. Like we could see that people were struggling. And so we came up with the idea to, bring our passions into something that other people could benefit from as well, and just being a light to our community. And in turn, that's exactly what they wanted. After we opened the business,
that's a nice thing.
The biggest takeaway. Everyone was like, "Thank you so much for being a light and doing this." So we've heard nothing but amazing feedback from our community, and that's what helped us grow into where we are now. So,
what are you talking specifically about? A town or a region of towns?
Yes. So we started
your community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started in Richmond, Maine, small little town south of Augusta. And that's where we were born and raised. And there was no coffee shop there. And, Olivia just touched on it a little bit, but the pandemic happened and there was no coffee shop. And that's really where it all stemmed from, was Richmond.
Yeah, it's it's an old town. Yeah. it's the town people drive through on their way between Augusta and Lewiston, and that,
Right.
and yet we've looked at moving back to Maine, my wife and I, and my daughter's one of her best friends' family moved to Richmond from Connecticut, the Freemans, and so when we drove through, we thought, it's a little less services and businesses than we're used to here in Connecticut.
Yes.
On the other hand, it was a beautiful area and looked like the kind of place where people like to stay. And of course, they can commute from there to get to the better paying jobs, but it just gave me that feeling. Yet, without a place to, not just to have a coffee in the morning, but a place to see your friends. Like, how many times have I said, let's have coffee, let's do coffee? It's sort of like a way of saying, let's be sure to not to lose touch with each other. So let's do coffee. And yet the people of Richmond, they could make the coffee on their kitchen counters, but it's different when you go in and they acknowledged. And you say, is this your usual blend or do you want to try something different? That's really an awfully important element to add to a little town like Richmond.
Absolutely.
And when did you get the idea of getting on the road, though? You said you bought your trailer. That you started with the trailer in Richmond?
Yeah, we started with a trailer, and we had said that we wanted to go mobile just in case business wasn't good in our small little town.
Yeah, go where the business is.
So go where the business is.
But always come home.
Yeah, exactly. So right off the bat, we knew that we just build in a few dates to go travel around. But it was that second week that we moved the trailer to a local farm, and everybody said, "Where did you go?" And it was
we had
moment.
Our money in hand.
Yeah, it was that moment where we're like, "Oh wow, our community needs us." And maybe we don't need to go everywhere. And maybe maybe we made the right decision. I guess, you got to trust your gut and just know that you made the right decision. But we learned that in that moment. And then we didn't move the trailer much after that because we said Richmond needs a shop. So we're going to provide that.
Well, I'm glad you came all the way up to Colby. The long trip up to Waterville.
Yes. And now since we've expanded into an events trailer where we've separated Richmond from mobile events. So that allows us to go.
That's a great way of thinking about your business. You have you put a true stake in the ground for Richmond, and that's your place of birth, and you know people and they know you. And I remember you in high school. And which is wonderful. That's one of the reasons Maine is so attractive to us natives of Maine, because people know us and it means a lot. But I want to go to, and then the other business is the mobile side. Now, another feature of your business, though, wasn't just coffee. And how did you think about those donuts? Folks, they make a different kind of donut.
It's amazing. We make them per order. They're hot, fresh mini donuts. So there's 4 of us business partners. It's a little family business. So it's myself, Elsie, our older sister and her husband, and he is originally from Virginia. And so he's attended some fairs and festivals, and that's where he tried this mini donut for the first time. And since he's moved to Maine, and he was like, there are no mini donuts in Maine. No one.
I never heard of a mini donut.
No, we haven't.
If I bought just one, it would be great because I'm trying to watch my weight. But you can't just buy one. But the thing is, if you look at a donut, you say, is that it? I mean, I want a big donut, with all kinds of goo on it and everything. So, but you have this really cool mini donut.
Yeah,
which you can prepare right in the, weren't you cooking them, Elsie? While
yes.
Chatting up your sister.
Oh, yes. We can make them right there. The machine that we have can make 1,200 donuts per hour. It can really seriously make them quick. And so that's part of the reason why we're able to do kind of more high volume events, is because that machine can keep up with it. But it's pretty awesome. It doesn't take that much to prepare the batter, and you can have donuts done from start to finish within 4 or 5 minutes. Like, mix the batter, put it in the hopper, let it cook. 5 minutes. Tops.
And we pride ourselves in hot, fresh mini donuts. So if you order them, we make them. We don't serve cold donuts. It just
made right to order. So you stand there.
Exactly.
You had to stand there up to 5 minutes. But I remember what I got was this bag, a nice white bag with all these little donuts in it. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Who needs Weight Watchers? I want to eat.
Exactly. They're addicting. I want to go back for more.
It's funny. It's very common. What I see is a lot of people get 6 not knowing how small they are, and then they always come back and get 6 more. So people love them. They're definitely a favorite.
Yeah. What, it hasn't all been easy, has it? I mean, going from, as I said earlier, a secure job in a well-regarded company. You didn't have a bundle of money to start with, did you? So you had to go through some rugged times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it hasn't been easy from day one. And one thing that I've really reflected on is, as a small business, you have the highest of highs and you have the lowest of lows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is not straight cut. We have learned so much. We've dealt with staffing and equipment breaking and just so many variations and things we've had to walk through. But on the flip side, it's been amazing to see, our growth as leaders, just being able to problem solve and just work through these issues to help us become better leaders. Mm-hmm. And it's been amazing. And we've grown so much in 3 years. And, someone once said, you'll never stop learning, and we learn every day. Every day.
Because, my approach and philosophy of learning on the moment, learning on the moment and in the moment that's where you really have to pull everything that you are into the moment and then problem solve. And that means you might want to read a manual, you might want to call someone to advise you, but whatever you need to get through it, because it's not just you and your personal learning at stake. It's the flow of the business, the momentum of the business. It's the cost of the business that kind of spurs you on. When you both were going through the more formal side of your learning, where did you go to school?
So I went to school at University of Southern Maine, and I actually went to school for occupational therapy. And so it had nothing to do with business, but in some funny way, it translates very well because of the activity analysis side of things, where we're taught to really break things down and problem solve and figure out what the fundamental skill is behind what we're doing, and the organization piece, and just all of these things that I learned through my programming just have really helped us with the business side of things. I just feel like it's transferred over so well that, just enjoying people and learning through them. And it's been
having that caregiving personality. Occupational therapy, as I've known it, requires individualized attention. Usually, you can't really do much in the way for groups, but when you're working with one person who has lost some kind of ability through a stroke or whatever, you have to become who they are in a way to understand what will work and what won't, and how to push them and how not to push them. And I can see how that translates into the relationship aspect of your business. What about you, Olivia? Where did you get your formal schooling?
Yeah, for me, when I was working at Starbucks, they had a college achievement program. And so I was able to do some school online while working there. And I am going to school for marketing. So it actually translates perfectly into the business
There you go.
exactly what I do. So I have a passion for it. I love to do marketing, and there's a need for it in the business. So, and it's funny, like once we started the business, we kind of got settled into our roles, and I knew I had a passion for that. And Elsie knew she had a passion for, what she's doing now, which is operations. So
Operations, yeah.
yeah. But it's funny.
The guts of the thing, yeah.
Yes.
So it actually works out because we have very different brains. So we're able to focus on different things, but, important things. If we thought the same and everything, then, we wouldn't be where we're at. So we balance each other out and we make a good team.
Yeah, because marketing, and leading to sales, as I've known down here in Connecticut, and I think probably up there in Maine, let's take the example of these breweries that are popping up everywhere, craft breweries. So if there's one, there's 10, and beer, they have to try to be distinctive around what they do with beer. Now, in the way of coffee, you can get it at Dunkin' Donuts or Cumberland Farms.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
And your way as you're rushing through. So there's got to be more. I know it's more fun to come to the Mountain Moose to get your coffee than it is to go to those places, I assume. But also in marketing, how you let people know in advance, Olivia, of what they're likely to get if they veer off the road on their way to Lewiston and say, okay, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Do you have a sign up? How do you get the word out that you're there? Because the locals know, but maybe people coming through don't.
Social media really has been helpful for me. Before we even started the business, I had posted about when we originally got our donut machine, and we were just so excited to set it up and make our first donut. And that video got 15 million views on TikTok. And that was before we even started the business. And in that moment, I knew, I said, we are onto something. So I think that really kicked off things for me and gave me momentum, but really just communicating with folks online and through different platforms really has helped draw people into the business, people local, but also people who haven't heard of us. So being able to share our story and our passion and just being able to capture, making the drinks and the story behind the drinks. A lot of the creations we have are based or named after Maine landmarks. We're born and raised in Maine, and we wanted to incorporate that as well. So we have a drink. It's the most popular one on the menu. It's called a Poppin' Palm, and it's named after Poppin' Beach here in Maine.
Poppin' Beach, where the Pilgrims landed first before they went over to Plymouth.
Exactly. And
it's very famous.
Yeah, so it's caramel and coconut, and it's just beachy. And we wanted to pick drinks that are just represent Maine landmarks, and that's
what are some others? Give me a few more, because
we have Coastal Caramel, and we have Kennebec Kicker, which is named after the big river here in our town of Richmond. Berry Bliss, that one's my personal favorite, and we have so many others. We have a Morning Moose drink, which is chocolate hazelnut. So we get to be creative, and that's one of the best parts about the business. We get to try different creations and just have fun with it. So, and people love the drinks as well. So it's great.
Now, I'm only able to imagine why you named the business Morning Moose. And let me give you my imagination, and you can tell me what really happened. When, particularly up in Farmington, where we raised our kids, up in Farmington, Maine, if you went out to any of the ponds, usually around 4 to 6 a.m. when the mist is coming up off the pond, you are very likely to see a mother moose and a baby moose. You rarely ever saw a bull moose. If you saw one, run. But that image of them quietly coming down and taking a sip out of the pond in the mist is the way I see it, the morning moose. Now, what's the real reason you called it a morning moose?
It's actually kind of funny. So unlike your story where you would see the moose, we never saw the moose. We've lived in Maine our whole lives, and for some odd reason, I've never run into those.
You don't want to run into the
I
woods.
know, well, not actually run in, but we've gone up north a number of times. We've hiked Katahdin. We've spent, time in Baxter State Park. We've been all the way up there, and it just kind of became a family joke that we could never find a moose. So we were on a camping trip, and we decided that we're going to sign up for a moose tour so we can actually see a moose. And it was ironic because we were in New Hampshire, but
we crossed the Maine line. We went to Maine.
The moose summer in New Hampshire.
Yes, yeah. But we ended up finally seeing a moose that time, and it was like, that was kind of, I feel like that's the backstory of where just the enthusiasm came from the moose. But then also we wanted the name to be something really fun. And we thought that was a really important decision to name it something that's going to be memorable and something that people are that can have, just be catchy, be fun, and like.
Yeah.
We wanted to choose something just true to our roots. Like, we're from Maine, and we wanted to be able to just have a fun, catchy name, like have some fun to it, but also true to who we are and what we're passionate about. And that was one of the best nights of our life. So we said, let's not think about too long in our
the morning part is, the first coffee of the day, or the first mini donut of the day. Not that you can't come in there a little later, but I get the idea of something that our state is kind of known for, Maine, and it's not a lobster. Like, lobster morning doesn't really work for me.
Right.
But everyone thinks lobster, lobster, lobster. We down here in Connecticut, it's lobster state. Yeah, I said, but they have bears. Well, so do we, but they have bigger bears, and they have moose, and plenty of deer. There's plenty of wildlife up there, and it's more trees than you can ever imagine. So there is a mythology as well as something real about the moose in Maine, and actually they're quite regal. You never noticed that? Maybe you never saw one because you've been looking so long, but they move because of their legs are so long, and they have these long bodies that, when they're moving, they just almost float in the air. Yet they probably weigh a couple of tons, a ton at least, the big ones. And, so I commend you on the name of your company, the Morning Moose. And got another couple of minutes here. Let's talk about the future, because entrepreneurs are never satisfied with the present moment. If you were, you'd be back at Starbucks. And I keep picking on them, but they're entrepreneurial in their own way too. They have to keep pouring coffee all over the world, or everyone gets quite upset and they start closing stores. So in your case, you've got to keep the Morning Moose diversifying. And here's my caution as an old business professor: you've got to build it out, but not so you lose the relationship, particularly between you two. You two are really the faces of the business, and you can't clone yourselves. So what you're thinking about, at least the near future, for yourselves and the business?
Yeah, I think one important lesson I've learned is when you expand, don't expand too fast. And I think that was something we learned from day one. And that's something that really stuck true to us. Like, when we first opened our location, we built that up for over 1.5 years until our next opportunity. Like, we wanted to make sure everything was smooth and, everything was efficient. So we really said we hope to expand, but we just felt like until we were ready, we weren't going to do that. So in 3 years, we now have 3 different locations, but also Morning Moose is still growing, as you said. I'll look forward to the future and what's next. So we do have some very exciting things along the way. Talk of a new storefront in Topsom. So looking forward to that. And that should be opening, early 2026. And we are excited just to really plant roots and, look forward to having a set location and just open seating and just being able to welcome everybody. So we have lots to look forward to.
That's not too far from Richmond. So
No.
you can still work out of your homes and get down to your store in Topsom. And where are the other two stores located?
Yeah, so actually, the first year we were in business, IDEX Laboratories in Westbrook, they reached out with the opportunity of us to move inside their office building. And so that's actually the cafe that I manage. And we have now been open there 3 years. And
That's good. That's a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, they invited us to
Ready-made sleepy people coming through to.
Exactly. So it's just very consistent, and we've been able to grow that cafe and get more people back in the office and incentivize them with coffee and things. So it's just very stable for our business, and it's been amazing.
And then we still have our Richmond location opened where we started. So that's open 6 days a week. It's a little mobile trailer. And then we have our events trailer kind of going around as well. So that's where we're at.
And you can find our schedule on our website, morningmooseco.com. And we have our schedule of where you can find us every day, all summer long.
You can see who's the marketing person.
Our social media and website, Morning Moose Co.
I have to tell you, though, there's absolutely nothing that works better in a small business than enthusiasm.
And we're so passionate about what we do. Like, we love to do what we do. It fuels us we love to connect with people. It keeps us going.
That's what hooked me at the first, there it was. I was like a morning moose in the mist in Waterville. Waiting for you guys to open up. But the enthusiasm and it's name passion. There's a lot of other names. But there's a point where if you ever find yourselves, and I can't imagine it, where you're going, oh, God, I got to make the donut. No, that whole, another day, another this, another that. I wouldn't wish it on you because I think you're having a lot of fun, serious fun. Doing this.
It's the best. I mean, we get to wake up and do what we love every day. I mean, not saying we don't have hard days where, we go through our struggles and challenges, but at the end of the day, it's what we love. Like, we love to connect with people and to make their experience and make them a good cup of coffee and just start their day with them. So, so we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah. And for me, it's just really cool to get up and to travel around Maine with the mobile trailer and to just be in a different spot every day or every other day. It's amazing. All this stuff that was here that I really never knew of my entire life. And now all of a sudden we're getting these businesses reaching out, and we finally have our first event at the Augusta Civic Center this weekend. So that's big. Actually super exciting too.
Big.
It's just amazing. From the very beginning, we got little or big businesses kind of reaching out that we never knew were there. So it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And we get to meet so many.
Everyone knows LL Bean, and everyone knows, Jackson Labs or whatever. There's certain larger corporations. And in all the years I worked up there, I worked with only the smallest because, Franklin County. If you ever get over there with coffee, they can use it. There's the campus of the University of Maine there, where I worked. Have you done anything for the University of Maine system?
Yeah, we have. We now, looking back over 3 years, like you said, we've done an event for Ella Bean. We're getting into colleges. We've done Bowdoin College, Colby, and now we're into the school system and hospitals. So it's been really amazing. And even from day one, that was the most exciting thing for me is, I thought at the beginning we would have to, promote ourselves a lot for these events, but almost it was the opposite. It was like they were asking us to come and they wanted us to be a part, and we were like, this is crazy. We don't feel like we deserve this. So it's just been really cool to get these amazing opportunities. And so, we did University of Maine this past fall. We did Student Acceptance Day, and we've done a variety of events for them. So it's been amazing.
Well, Maine, I will speak as an expat from Maine. We've been away for 40 years. But Maine loves you.
Well, we love Maine.
And you love Maine. And that's what makes the magic of Maine. Yes, there's some beautiful those islands were magnificent when we got that trip out of Port Clyde. It was absolutely amazing. And yet, they would have just been pieces of rock with grass on them if it wasn't for the story of the Wyeths and what in the love that they put in to particularly the island where we toured. And you could see Betsy Wyeth's concern for simplicity but beauty at the same time, which I think is a real signature for Maine itself. So yay, Maine loves you, and now I do too.
Well, you're welcome back to Morning Moose anytime for a coffee on us.
You heard that, folks. On me.
Keep us accountable.
Thanks again.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We had fun.
Thank you for listening to the Practice Podcast, conversations probing the nature of practice. If you'd like to hear more, go to Automatic, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube. And please consider purchasing our book on practice as a way of being at mylibrary.world. It's a digital book with lots of features that you do not see in a conventional book. So once again, thank you, and I look forward to you listening again.